Missouri Valley total. Boy, this was a big steam move overnight. Northern Iowa opened with a total of 130 offshore against Missouri State. Panthers versus Bears matchup. You like these matchups of the animal teams. That total's been bet all the way down 126. I'm seeing 125 and a half out there right now. Big move to the under. It's been an under series. There's only one over since 2015. Panthers 8-2 to the over the last 10. You say, wow, that's surprising, but they went under last time out, and the markets are saying that total was just too high for a Northern Iowa game, despite all those overs. And, of course, the Bears, Missouri State, they're 8-2 to the under in their last 10, and coming off an over as well. Markets expecting a lower scoring game between Northern Iowa and Missouri State. Watch what you bet. You better believe it. We've got a trio of big-time TV games to talk about for tonight. Let's start. No, I'm not going to start with Duke, North Carolina. I'm going to start with Nova and Georgetown. Why? That's the top game on the betting board. When you look at the rotation, when you go to sbrodds.com, you'll see what I'm talking about. The games are in rotation order. I like to go in rotation order. That's the way I think. That's my process. And I try to share as much of that with you, the viewing audience, here at Sportsbook Review as I can. So that means we're going to talk Nova and Georgetown first. Nova, 5.5-point road chalk, total 149.5. Certainly, if you're following the trends, you're going to be looking at Villanova in this ballgame. They've been moneymakers all year, 17-9 ATS. They've been moneymakers on the road, 6-3. They've been moneymakers in conference, 9-4 against the number. Meanwhile, Georgetown only covered 4-point spreads at home all year. Money losers in the Big East. They have been moneymakers as a dog, but they have not enjoyed a particularly strong home court advantage. Oh, and by the way, they're facing a Villanova team that just blew a 19-point lead at St. John's. And you read the quotes, yeah, they're not real happy about how that went down. Mostly about defense for Villanova. Well, it was really both ends of the court, but the defense, they were 0, they held St. John's without a made three-pointer in the first half, building that big lead. The second half, the Red Storm, 8 of 14 from beyond the arc. Nova head coach Jay Wright, there was great energy in the Garden. It was a great Big East basketball game. I thought the first half we were good. In the second half, they just took us out of it. They took us out of everything. We couldn't execute any offense. A lot of our turnovers and missed shots turned into transition baskets for them. That was the game. This really was the tale of two halves. So here's a Nova team that's been pretty dominant. They're coming off a bad second half on the road against a team that they've been pretty good against in every recent meeting. Of course, this line's not skyrocketing. Why? The markets like the spot for Georgetown. Georgetown hasn't played in a week. And the last time they played a week ago, they've had the bye per se, where they didn't go over the weekend. A complete no-show. 90-75 loss to Seton Hall. Dropped them to 15-10 overall. Dropped them to 5-7 in conference. Took them off the bubble. It was a really bad loss. Patrick Ewing, head coach, after the game. They beat us in all phases of the game. We were poor defensively. We didn't execute our offense well. We didn't show up. They've got a chance for redemption tonight on their home floor after having a full week to prepare for this one opponent. While I do like Villanova to bounce back with the victory, I'm a little bit concerned about this point spread. I had Nova on my short list. I did not pull the trigger once I saw those quotes out of Georgetown. It's a lean towards Nova, not a bet on the Wildcats for me tonight. I do think Georgetown has potential to hang around in this one and perhaps play a whole lot better than the last time we saw them on the floor. All right, all eyes are on the state of North Carolina tonight in the biggest marquee matchup, the rivalry, the game that even the non-college basketball fans tune into. And that, of course, is Duke, North Carolina. North Carolina has been real good in a lot of roles this year. You know, moneymakers, 14-9 ATS in all line game. 8-2 ATS on the highway, 8-4 against the spread versus ACC teams they've even covered in one of their two tries as road dogs this season. Duke, mediocre numbers against the spread, 6-6 in conference play. It's hard to find value with a team like Duke at this stage of the campaign. It really is. I don't do a lot with betting on Duke. Once we get to the fact that, hey, they're the number one team in the country, everyone knows they're the number one team in the country, the markets are in love with this squad, certainly based on, we saw what they were laying in NC State the other day. They were laying 17 here. They're laying 9.5 to North Carolina. Why is this rivalry such a great rivalry? Well, let me put it this way. It's the 149th consecutive meeting with at least one of the two teams ranked. These are the college basketball elites. These are the Blue Bloods. And Coach K knows his team has stepped up in every big game so far this season. His quote, hopefully they play as well as they have in the other big games that we've had. They're talented, they're very mature, and they're all about team. There's a reason Duke's number one. There's a reason Duke is not the prohibitive favorite, but the favorite to cut down the nets on the second Monday in May. I got corrected. The first in April. The first Monday in April is not the national championship game this year. It's a rare occurrence where it'll be the second Monday in April. I believe it's April 8th is the national title. But there's a reason that Duke is favored to cut down the nets. They have as much or more talent than anyone. We talked about that on yesterday's show. We were talking about the odds for the first player to go number one in the draft, and 3 of the 4 top choices came from Duke. Obviously, with Zion Williamson, you have R.J. Barrett, who's been an absolute monster so far this season. From a talent standpoint, nobody is better than Duke. All that being said, it's only a 1-game lead in the ACC on North Carolina, Virginia in between them. The quote from Roy Williams, we have an opportunity to go over there and see how we stand up. In my opinion, we have to play our best basketball of the year to have a chance against Duke. This is a different type of challenge than we faced all year. It's a Tar Heels team that has the experience that Duke doesn't. 3 seniors in their starting lineup. There's a veteran element that does arrive with the visiting team. They played at Cameron before. And, of course, it's a Tar Heels team that's 6-0 straight up on the ACC road this season. Forward and Luke May. We have to come out and play as well as we can. It's a tough road game, but we played well on the road all year. Guard Cameron Johnson, quote, not let the other stuff and the hype around it get to us. That's the top goal. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see North Carolina give this team a battle. They've been, again, with the 3 senior starters. I do think that matters. Read this quote from Barrett for Duke. I'm pretty pumped. It was a game as a kid I was watching all the time. Just to be part of it is going to be a lot of fun. The Frost point guard, Trey Jones. For us, it'll be pretty normal. We still have some ACC games left, so it's not like this is the last game of the year. If I'm playing, I'm taking North Carolina plus. I understand how good Duke is, but I also understand how good North Carolina has been on the road in ACC play. Certainly respect their trio of senior starters, and I wouldn't be a little bit surprised to see this game turn into a blowout. Duke's played great in every step-up game this season, pretty much every one of them. I'm not convinced they're going to play great again tonight. At some point, Duke has a little bit of a hiccup, and for as good as the Williamson and Barrett are and the rest of the supporting cast, I think North Carolina can hang. I don't know if they can win, but if I'm playing North Carolina, you better believe I'll have a little bit of a taste of the money line in my pocket. Late night action in the Mountain West, Nevada, San Diego State. Are you guys paying attention to Mountain West basketball? These are the 2 best teams right here, right now. It's going to be a fun game tonight. Nevada's a Sweet 16 team from last year, and I'm telling you, they're better this year than they were last year. But head coach Eric Musselman not taking the Aztecs lightly, considering the fact the last two times these two teams played, San Diego State won, including an absolute domination over Nevada, the Mountain West tourney last year. That was a game that I'm certain the Wolfpack will remember. They trailed by as many as 30 in that contest. Eric Musselman talking about the team he's facing tonight. They're perfectly capable of beating anyone on any given night because they're really talented. They're as talented as any team we've played all year. Of course, the Wolfpack come in on a 10-game winning streak, and they're just annihilating teams, an average margin of 22 points per win during that span. 5 of the wins came by 20 or more. They're not blowing out everybody. They're blowing out the weak team. San Diego State's not a weak team. But when you look at the scoring punch that this Nevada squad has, they have the ability to put the biscuit in the basket. Caleb Martin, Jordan Caroline, these are two guys who can absolutely play at the next level, and perhaps at a high level at the next level. But let's not forget about Jalen McDaniels for San Diego State, who was also an NBA prospect. I think he'll be a pretty good NBA player. He's averaging 17 points and 8 rebounds per game. They got a senior point guard in Devin Watson, 16 points, 4 assists, and 66 made three-pointers on the season. I would not be surprised at all to see this San Diego State team give Nevada a battle. Whether it's good enough to hang tough for 40 is another question. But this is one game, just like Duke, North Carolina. If I'm going to play, I'll be involved with the underdog, not the favorite.